Hey guys, it's Miss Walden. I wanted to show you guys my gradebook and all the assignments that have been posted so far this year in Schoology. So there are 5 of them so far, and there's going to be another one today on Wednesday, September 23rd. But right now there's 5 of them from the past. And the ones that are posted at the very bottom were the ones from the earliest weeks, and the one at the very top was the most recent one. So this was posted last week. The reason that I'm showing you this is you guys have the ability to make up missing work anytime. So a lot of you have at least 1 0, and some of you have more than 1 0. And I really wanted to show you all of these assignments and show you exactly where to find them in Schoology. And the reason that I want you to be able to find them is if you go find them and you complete them, you will get full credit for that assignment, even if it's from way back at the beginning of September or even the end of August, okay? I want you guys to succeed. I want you guys to get your missing work in. And this week I'm only assigning a little baby assignment because I really want to make sure that everybody has time to go back into Schoology in the past weeks and make sure all of these assignments are completed, okay? Especially this big 40-point assignment, which was posted last week, and I'm going to talk about each of these individually. So the first thing that I'm going to talk about is discussion post number 1, and that was our earliest assignment. So if we head over to Schoology, I want to show you how to navigate it. Obviously, you've seen my online classroom, and anything that's currently assigned is written on the board right here. So you can see assignment number 1, did my atoms once belong to Einstein or King Tut? And assignment number 2, National Geographic water cycle simulation. But what if you're missing work from past weeks? How do you find it? So you can scroll past my little classroom, and I have 6 blue buttons, and 2 of those buttons are for assignments. One of them is this week's assignments, and if you click it, it will bring you to this week, September 21st through the 25th. You can see that right now, there's only the weekly schedule posted in here, which you can pull up to see when things are going to be posted, such as this weekly video lesson that you're watching right now, when things are due, etc. Okay, so that's the weekly schedule. And that's the only thing in our current week right now. But eventually this week when I post a new assignment, it's going to go in this folder. Now heading back to our main page, there's also a past week's assignment button. So you can click that, and it actually has all those folders from all the past weeks. So red up at the top is the very, very first week of school, the second week of school, the third, and then this green folder is from last week. Okay, and so these are all the past assignments. And we're going to try to find that very first assignment in the gradebook, which was the discussion post. Okay, so I'm going to go back to Schoology, and I'm going to find that discussion post. It is in the orange folder, August 31st through September 4th. Here's discussion post number 1. So if you are missing that and you have a 0 for this in the gradebook, you can click it. Here are the instructions. Here are the questions that you may choose to answer. You only have to pick 2 of them. And even though its due date was Friday, September 4th, you may answer it right now for full credits. You just answer your questions right here, you post it, and don't forget to come down here and read what your classmates said, okay? Because that's really helpful when you're in an online class. It's the only way we kind of get a chance to talk to each other, even though it's not real talking. Second thing in our gradebook is the warm-ups. And a few of you have emailed me, how do I access the warm-ups? I don't see anything on Schoology for warm-ups. And that's because warm-ups are actually an activity that's given inside of my live lessons. So when I meet with you guys on Tuesdays and we have a live lesson on WebEx, sometimes there are warm-up questions in that live WebEx, and the only students that are able to do those warm-ups are the ones that come to the live class. But I want you to know that even if you didn't make it to the live class, you can still do this warm-up activity and still get the points for it, okay? So pay attention to the date here. It says warm-ups on September 8th. So we're going to head back to Schoology, and we're going to find the folder that would contain September 8th. So that's this yellow folder, September 7th through the 11th. I click it, and here it is. WebEx class from September 8th. The warm-up questions are inside. So when I click it, it brings up that video, which is that live class from September 8th. You can click it, and it will start to play. Okay, and inside that video, you're going to have the warm-up questions posted. And so you can watch the video, see the warm-up questions, answer them, and send me your answers in an email. The next thing in the gradebook is Activity 1-1 or Lesson 1-1, Elements in Organisms, okay? And that's worth a few more points than the other ones so far. So if you have a workbook, Lesson 1-1 was the very first page in that workbook. It looks like this, okay? So you had to guess or make an educated guess about which elements are found in the human body. Like what makes up a human? Is it hydrogen? Is it calcium? Is it helium? Is it carbon? Okay, and you had to make a guess on page 1. Now, if you flip to the back side, there is a question for you to explain your reasoning, and there's a question that says, after you work with a small group to compare your answers, do you want to make any modifications to your answer? And what reasoning did your group members provide that might have persuaded you to change your answers? Now, a lot of you left question 3 blank, and you were just like, we didn't have groups, so I didn't do it. But if you go on to Schoology, again, we're going to find that activity, okay? And it is in the orange folder, okay? So same as the discussion post number 1, it's just right below it. So it's assignment number 1, important elements in organisms. You're going to click that, you're going to open it. Okay, it has step-by-step instructions for you. So it says, begin lesson 1-1, click or see attached below, complete the worksheet through question 2. So that means you're going to make a prediction, and then you're going to explain your reasoning. That's questions 1 and 2. And then it says, after you're done with question 2, come back to your computer and post your initial predictions onto the Padlet linked here. So you're going to click this, and it's going to open something called a Padlet, which is kind of like a little sticky note board, but it's virtual, okay? And you can see that it says, after completing questions 1 and 2, you're going to answer this question. Which elements do you think are the 3 most common elements in the human body? Provide reasoning for why you chose your top 3. And you can see that your classmates or maybe you have already posted on this Padlet, and you can see my responses to each student. And your job is you're going to post your own prediction, but you're also going to read everybody else's, and maybe you'll learn something, or maybe you'll see something that you didn't think about. So for example, Destiny wrote, nitrogen is important to the human body and to plants, and it's needed to make chlorophyll in plants. Also, DNA, blah, 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 okay? Now you can see that Kevin commented, oh, I didn't think of nitrogen. That's a good one, okay? So then, maybe when Kevin is doing his workbook activity, he's going to write, what reasoning, if any, did somebody provide that persuaded you to change your answers? And he might write, one of my classmates mentioned nitrogen being present in plants and also being present in DNA. I didn't think about that. So I'm actually going to change my answer, and I'm going to put nitrogen in there as well. Okay, so that's what I want you to do for lesson 1.1, Elements in Organisms. If you don't have a workbook, you can still access this assignment, the workbook assignment, by scrolling down to the bottom, and it's just linked for you right here. So you can click that and it will download for you right here, and it opens up with a virtual copy of that same exact activity. So you are guessing, what is 65% of your body? Is it hydrogen? Is it oxygen? Is it carbon? What is 18.5% of your body? What is it, okay? Number 2 is where you explain your reasoning. And number 3 is, even though we're not working in small groups to compare our answers, we are reading our classmates' answers on the Padlet, and that's going to help you make modifications to your answers. So you can still answer number 3 and say, oh, somebody mentioned calcium being part of the bones, and I didn't think of that. Or maybe someone said, oh, you know what, phosphorus, because I learned about phosphorus being part of DNA, okay? So anything that you read in the Padlet that you didn't think about beforehand, that's what goes in question number 3. So if you haven't done activity 1-1 yet, and you have a 0 for it in the gradebook, that's how you do that activity, and that's how you access it. After that, there's an activity called Read/Podcast My Atoms, okay? And really what it's called is, did my atoms once belong to Einstein or King Tut? And the reason that it says reading/podcast is this is actually an activity where you get to have a choice, okay? So I'm going to head back to Schoology again. And I'm going to go to my past folder. and I believe it is here in the yellow folder, September 7th through the 11th. Here it is. Assignment number 1. Did my atoms once belong to Einstein or King Tut? You can click that, and it's going to give you 2 options. It says in this assignment, you have 2 choices. You could read an article titled, How many atoms do we have in common with one another? And when you click that, it actually opens up the article for you. You can read it. Okay, or you can listen to a podcast called Were My Atoms Once Your Atoms? Again, click that. It will open up the podcast for you, and you can just play it by pushing the little play button right around here. Okay. Now, that's not the whole assignment. That's just the beginning of the assignment. When you scroll down to the bottom, it says comprehension questions for the reading and comprehension questions for the podcast. So if you did the reading, you're going to click this assignment and it's going to open for you down here. Or if you listen to the podcast, you're going to click this and it's going to open for you down here. And when you open those, it's just going to have some questions for you to answer about either the reading or the podcast, depending on which one you chose. All right, last thing, and this is the most important thing because check out how many points it's worth. It's worth 40 points, and the other ones are only worth 10s, 5s, 15, okay? That's because this assignment takes way longer than the other ones, and it's also because it's really, really important. Like, I really, really want you to do this assignment. So if you don't do anything else and you have a bunch of zeros, you're gonna get a lot of points for completing this assignment. So maybe this is where you should start, okay? So National Geographic water cycle. That was posted last week on Schoology. So I'm going to head back to Schoology again. I'm going to go to the past, and I'm going to click last week's folder, which was September 14th through the 18th. And here it is, National Geographic water cycle simulation. I'm going to open that. And this is a lot of stuff, a lot of reading, and it's a little bit overwhelming, so I'm going to walk you through it. Okay, so it says directions. This assignment will take you about 2 hours to complete. Follow the instructions in the attached file very carefully. Open the attached file titled National Geographic Water Cycle Simulation, okay? It's always linked at the bottom. So if it ever tells you to open up an attachment, scroll to the very bottom. Here's the link. When you click on it, it's going to download for you right here, just like always, and then it's going to open up for you in a Word document. But before I even look at that Word document, I just want to read the rest. It says, the attached file will provide instructions, but will also be where you paste all of your answers at the end of each task so that I can grade them. Save this document often so that you don't lose your work. You will be emailing me this document when you are done with all 3 tasks and you have pasted your answers directly into the document. Okay, and then I also want to point out that it says up here, there are 5 parts in this simulation, but you only have to do the first 3, okay? So don't do more work than is necessary. It's already plenty of work, even just doing the first 3 tasks. So, how to turn in this assignment. You're going to complete part 1, and at the end, you're going to click Show All Answers. This will bring up your answers for part 1. You're going to copy paste them into the correct spot, which is the yellow highlighted spot. And then number 3 says repeat for parts 2 and 3. Step 4 says save your document, check to make sure that all your answers are there, and email it to me at julia.walden@d11.org. So let's actually take a look at that Word document. So when you download it, it's going to open this. Okay, the water cycle simulation. So go through the 3 tasks surrounding fresh water in the water cycle. For each task, read the step-by-step instructions on the document here, then head to the online activity to complete each part. When you're done with each task, you will copy-paste your responses into this document under the appropriate heading. So to access the activity, you need to copy-paste the link below, not just click it. So weirdly enough, it wasn't working when students were clicking on it, but it does work if you copy-paste it. So I'm going to highlight it if it's going to let me. Oh my goodness. Sorry, guys. Copy. And then I am going to head over to a browser tab, and I'm going to paste it. I'm just going to paste it right here, hit enter, and it's going to pull up the activity for me, constructing an argument, water. I'm going to go back to my Word document. So it says head to part 1, read the overview of the activity so that you know what to do and how long it will take. And when you're ready, click the begin activity button. Okay, so we're going to go back. We're going to read the overview. So here's the overview. It tells you how much time it's going to take, and then you're going to click the blue button that says Begin Activity. Heading back to the Word document. It says, read the information contained in the graphs and article about river flow, salinity, and damming rivers. Then you're going to answer questions 1 through 4 following the guidelines on the left-hand side. Take as much time as you need to process the information. It will help you with the rest of the questions. And when you're finished with question 4, scroll all the way down to the bottom and click Next. So that's a lot of information. So we're going to go back here. It tells you that there's going to be a graph and maybe some stuff to read. So here it is. Here's the stuff to read. Here's a little map for you. Here's a graph for you. And then it asks you a few questions. So it says, question 1, based on the graph, when was the salinity of the water near Lee's Ferry the highest? Okay, and you can select your answer right here by clicking. But follow the instructions over here. So it says, don't forget, a good claim is based on evidence. And evidence could come from that graph, or it could come from the reading that you did. Okay, whatever you pick, so maybe you pick March, maybe you pick June, okay, then you're going to type your answer here. So explain your claim. I chose blah, blah, blah because blah, 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 okay? It tells you how to write a good scientific explanation. So back up your claim. If there's a graph and a table, you can cite evidence directly from that source. A good explanation combines evidence from a graph or from the reading with your own scientific knowledge. Okay, when you're done with all the questions, you're going to click at the very bottom the Next button. Okay, and then it's going to say, congratulations, you've reached the end of part 1, constructing an argument for water, and your work has been saved. I'm going to go back to the Word document, and it says, you will see this banner at the top. Click Show All Answers. So I'm going to go back here, and I'm going to click Show All Answers, and it's going to pop up with the answers that I just typed, okay? Now, you can do one of two things. You can either highlight all of this and copy it, head back to the Word document. It says you can take a screenshot of your work and neatly paste it in the space on the next page, or you can highlight all of the questions and answers and copy paste it into the space on the next page. Save your work. Okay, so here's the highlighted spot. It says copy paste your answers or paste your screenshot here. So part 1, I'm going to click in this open space. I'm going to click paste. And there are the answers that I just pasted that came from this. Now, if you prefer to do a screenshot, you can click this little scissors icon called the snipping tool. And if it doesn't exist right there for you, you can type snipping tool and it will pop up, open it. Okay, I always like to move the box out of the way. So right here, it would be right in the way of what I wanted to snip. So I'm going to move it to the side and I'm going to click New. And I'm going to make a little box around the stuff that I think is important, so my answers. And when you let go, it's going to take an automatic screenshot. You can go up here to Edit, Copy. And if we go back to the Word document, if you didn't want to copy paste it like that, you could paste your screenshot right in here. So here's my screenshot, okay? It's a screenshot, so I can't type anymore. It's just a direct cut of exactly what I did on that page. Okay, then it says, double check that you pasted your answers from part 1. Go back to the previous tab and click Start Next Activity. Okay, so let's come back here. So I'm on this tab. I'm going to go back to my previous tab. Click this. It says, next up, blah, 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 Start Next Activity. I'm going to click this. And here is part 2, availability of fresh water. So when I go back to my document, it says part 2, availability of fresh water. Okay, here's the link. Read the overview. When you're ready, click Begin Activity. So it's just like last time. You're going to read the overview. You're going to see how much time it's going to take. You can see how many parts there are. And when you're ready, you're going to click Begin Activity. And you're going to repeat the exact same process as part 1, okay? So you're going to go through all the steps. This time it's going to have you take a screenshot of a little picture. You're going to type your answers, okay? And when you're done, you'll see, congratulations, you've reached the end of availability of fresh water and your work has been saved. You'll click that Show All Answers button and you're going to paste your screenshot right here, or you're going to paste your copy-pasted answer right here, okay? So when you're done with part 2, it'll look just the same as part 1, except there's going to be a lot more to copy-paste. And then part 3, exact same thing. You'll click Start Next Activity. You'll go through it. There's a lot of instructions for you to read, and when you're ready, you'll copy-paste your answers to part 3 right here. After you're done, go to File, Save As. You can save it as whatever you want. You could say, here's my name and here's the water cycle activity. Okay, and you can click Save, and there it is. It will be saved for you, and then you can email it to me. So there you have it. That's what you need to do. Let me go back to my gradebook for just a second for you. Okay, so those are your assignments. If you're missing any of them, that's how you access it. Don't forget that when you're on Schoology, oops. Oh my gosh, sorry guys. When you're on Schoology, that is how you access your past assignments, is from that main page. So here I am. Sorry, that took me a second to get back to the right tab. Here I am on my main biology page. Okay, here are the assignments for this week. This is the water cycle simulation one I just explained. This is that podcast/reading one that I just explained. Okay, but past week's assignments are right here in those folders. You can actually expand all of the folders and see what's in them without even clicking on them. Okay, so you can always know, like, oh, here's discussion post, here's 1.1, oh yeah, here's the podcast, and here is the water cycle simulation. So you can open up all of those so it's extra easy for you to find that information that you need. Okay, now if you have any questions for me, don't hesitate to email, and I'd be more than happy to help you guys. Make sure that you get that missing work in, and I'll see you guys next week.